Commander Alex Chen drummed fingers against the navigation console, watching the swirling gases of the Cygnus Nebula paint cosmic artwork across the view screen. The exploration vessel Horizon hummed quietly around them, a reassuring symphony of functioning systems and recycled air that had become more familiar than Earth after 6 months in deep space. "Commander, sensors are picking up something unusual at bearing 047, Lieutenant Prevail announced, her voice cutting through Alex's momentary trance. Metallic composition, approximately 300 meters in length, definitely artificial. Alex straightened in the captain's chair. Natural debris from the mining colonies. Negative, sir. The structure appears intact, and Prevail hesitated, rechecking her readings. It's not registering on any known design profiles. Estimated age based on radiation signatures is. Her eyes widened. Over 2,000 years old. 2,000 years. The implications sent a shiver down Alex's spine. Humanity had achieved interstellar travel barely a century ago. Whatever floated among the nebula's gossamer clouds wasn't one of theirs. Full stop. Alert the science team and prepare a boarding party, Alex ordered, already moving toward the equipment lockers. Protocol dictated caution, remote probes, extensive scans, and a report to command before direct contact with potential alien technology. Alex had no intention of following protocol. Sir, regulations state. Prevail began. Log my decision and the objection, Alex interrupted, pulling on an environmental suit. This is exactly what we came out here to find, Lieutenant. I'm not waiting 3 weeks for command to debate committee recommendations. 30 minutes later, Alex's shuttle docked with the derelict vessel. From up close, its design defied conventional engineering, curves and angles flowing together in a hull that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. No visible propulsion system, no external weapons, nothing that indicated its purpose. Structural integrity is sound, reported Dr. Chatri through the comms. Atmosphere present inside but composition unknown. Maintain suit protocols. The airlock cycled open with surprising ease. Alex stepped inside, helmet lights illuminating a corridor whose walls shimmered with faint iridescence. Each step revealed new questions, the absence of dust, the perfect preservation, the subtle hum that seemed to respond to Alex's presence. I'm detecting a power source activating deeper in the vessel, Chatri warned. Recommend immediate withdrawal. Alex pressed forward, drawn by curiosity stronger than caution. The corridor opened into a vast chamber, dominated by a crystalline structure in its center, a vertical capsule filled with swirling mist. As Alex approached, the mist began to pulse with soft blue light. Command, are you seeing this? Alex whispered, helmet camera transmitting back to the horizon. The crystalline walls suddenly became transparent, revealing a humanoid figure suspended within, a woman with skin like polished pearl. Her features delicate yet alien in their perfect symmetry. Her eyes snapped open the moment Alex stepped closer, eyes of deep violet that fixed on Alex with immediate recognition. The crystal dissolved like morning fog, and she stepped forward with impossible grace. Alex retreated a step, hand moving instinctively to the sidearm. At last, she spoke, her voice musical and flawless in its pronunciation of human English. After 20 centuries of waiting, you have come. Who are you? Alex demanded, unsettled by the impossibility of what was happening. How do you know our language? A smile curved her lips. I am Nayara of the Aeterna, and I know far more than your language, Commander Alex Chen. I have been waiting specifically for you. The security team's voices exploded through the comms, demanding Alex's withdrawal. But something in Nayara's gaze held Alex rooted to the spot. "That's impossible," Alex whispered. "How could you possibly know who I am?" "Because," she said, moving closer with each word, "in all the branching timelines of possibility, you are the human who changes everything." 3 days after bringing Nayara aboard the Horizon, Alex couldn't shake the feeling of being constantly observed. Security protocols had been followed, medical quarantine, extensive scans, psychological evaluations, all of which Nayara passed with inexplicable ease. Command had ordered their immediate return to Earth's orbital station for further assessment of their unexpected passenger. "She's not human," Dr. Chatri had confirmed after running tests. "Her cellular structure is similar, but engineered at a level beyond our comprehension. She doesn't age in any conventional sense." Alex entered the quarters assigned for the journey home, stopping abruptly at the sight of Nayara sitting calmly on the edge of the bed. The door had been locked. The security system showed no breach. "How did you get in here?" Alex demanded, hand instinctively reaching for a communicator. "Your barriers are quaint," Nayara replied, her voice melodious even when dismissive. "I wished to observe you in your natural environment." Her eyes scanned the room, noting the sparse decorations, a photograph of mountains, a small stone from a distant planet. "You surround yourself with reminders of things that exist beyond your immediate reach." Alex kept a careful distance. "You can't be here. There are protocols." "Protocols crafted by beings who will live less than a century," she interrupted, rising with fluid grace. "I have watched civilizations rise and collapse while pursuing my objective. Your protocols mean nothing compared to what I've come to study." "And what exactly is that?" Alex asked, blocking the doorway. Nayara approached with unhurried steps. "You, the specific neurological pattern you possess, the particular way your consciousness processes reality." She reached out, stopping just short of touching Alex's temple. "Do you know how rare it is? How precious?" The ship's alarm blared suddenly, startling Alex. Nayara didn't flinch. "Security breach in officer quarters, Section 4, announced the ship's A. Alex realized with a chill that Nayara had triggered no alarms despite entering restricted space. The security team arrived within minutes, weapons drawn. Nayara allowed herself to be escorted back to her designated area without resistance, a bemused smile playing across her lips. Later that evening, reviewing surveillance logs, Alex discovered something unsettling. Every camera covering Nayara's movements had experienced technical glitches at precisely synchronized intervals. In these blind spots, she had visited the ship's library interface, medical bay, and most disturbingly, had stood outside Alex's quarters for nearly an hour while Alex slept. "Commander, her capabilities exceed our understanding," Chief Security Officer Reyes reported. "She interfaces with our technology without physical contact. Watch this." The footage showed Nayara near locked terminal. Though she never touched it, data streamed across the screen at impossible speeds: human history, art, literature, psychological profiles. She seemed particularly focused on emotional response patterns in high-stress situations. "What is she looking for?" Alex murmured. "Permission to speak freely, sir," Reyes asked, receiving a nod. "I think she's studying you like a lab specimen. The way she tracks your movements, analyzes your responses, it's methodical." That night, unable to sleep, Alex found Nayara in the observation deck, her slender form silhouetted against the vast starfield. "Your kind burns so brightly," she said without turning around. Like supernovas, brief, beautiful, gone in a cosmic instant. Her voice contained something almost like yearning. We Eterna have forgotten what that feels like. What feels like? Alex asked, approaching cautiously. Nayara finally turned, her eyes reflecting starlight. To know your time is limited. To feel everything so intensely, because each experience cannot be repeated indefinitely. She stepped closer. To be truly alive, Commander Chen. We sacrificed that for immortality, and now I need you to help us remember. Earth's orbital station loomed ahead, a gleaming testament to human innovation against the blue marble backdrop of home. Alex stood in the observation deck, watching the approaching docking rings with mixed emotions. After weeks in deep space, most crew members eagerly anticipated reconnecting with family and friends. Alex felt only dread about delivering their alien passenger to the authorities. You fear what they will do to me, Nayara said, appearing silently beside Alex. Her presence no longer startled, it had become an expected intrusion. I fear what you might do to them, Alex replied, not bothering to look at her. We still don't understand your capabilities or your true intentions. A faint smile touched Nayara's lips. Yet you've made no serious attempt to restrain me. Curious. Before Alex could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Emergency lights flashed as the vessel shuddered violently. Catastrophic failure in Airlock 7, shouted a voice over the comm system. Explosive decompression imminent. Alex immediately recognized the danger. Airlock 7 connected directly to the crew quarters. Without thinking, they sprinted toward the emergency, Nayara following effortlessly despite the ship's violent pitching. They arrived to chaos. Crew members frantically working to seal the failing airlock as the outer door showed signs of structural compromise. Beyond it lay only the vacuum of space. Evacuate this section, Alex ordered, grabbing an emergency repair kit. I'll try to reinforce the seal until the automated systems engage. Commander, it's too dangerous, protested Lieutenant Patel. The structural integrity is. A deafening crack interrupted her as the airlock's reinforced glass developed a spiderweb of fractures. The automated backup system had failed. Death waited just beyond that glass. Go! Alex shouted, pushing the lieutenant toward the evacuation route while moving toward the failing airlock. Suddenly, Nayara moved past Alex with inhuman speed. She placed her palms against the fracturing barrier, and something extraordinary happened. The pearlescent quality of her skin intensified, spreading outward into the damaged structure. The fractures began to seal themselves as if time were reversing. What are you doing? Alex gasped, watching as Nayara's form seemed to partially merge with the structure itself. Saving your crew, she replied, her voice strained for the first time since they'd met. My cellular structure can temporarily bond with inorganic material. Minutes later, with the immediate crisis averted and repair crews working to permanently fix the damage, Alex found Nayara alone in a quiet corridor. She appeared weakened, her normally luminous skin dulled. You risked yourself for us, Alex said, voice soft with realization. Why? Nayara looked up, vulnerability visible in her eyes for the first time. Because in 2,000 years of existence, I've never met anyone like you, Commander Chen. You were willing to die for your crew without hesitation. Later that night, as a breathtaking meteor shower streaked across Earth's atmosphere below them, Nayara finally revealed the truth. They stood together on the observation deck, the station rotating slowly to provide artificial gravity. My people are dying, Alex, she confessed, using Alex's first name for the first time. Not our bodies. Those will continue functioning for millennia. We're dying inside. She pressed a hand against her chest. We extended our lives beyond natural limits, but in doing so, we lost something essential. Emotions fade. Memories blur. Curiosity and creativity wither away. She turned to face Alex directly. Many Eterna now choose final termination out of sheer emptiness. But humans, her eyes brightened with something like wonder. Humans burn so brightly precisely because your time is limited. Your neural patterns show you experience more emotional intensity in one day than most Eterna feel in a century. A hidden base beneath the lunar surface. Alex stared incredulously at Nayara across the briefing room table. Earth hung like a blue jewel outside the viewport, seeming deceptively peaceful despite the diplomatic chaos unfolding since Nayara's arrival. You're telling me your people have been watching us from our own moon for centuries. Not watching, Nayara corrected. Studying, learning, hoping. Her violet eyes remained fixed on Alex. And not centuries, millennia. 3 government officials exchanged alarmed glances. After 2 weeks of intense debriefing, Nayara had finally requested an official audience to reveal the true extent of Eterna presence in the solar system. That's impossible, General Rivera objected. Our lunar outposts would have detected. Your technology is remarkable for its age. Nayara interrupted, but fundamentally limited. Our sanctuary exists partially in dimensional space your instruments cannot yet perceive. Alex leaned forward. And you're willing to take us there? Why now? Because of you, she replied simply. Your neural patterns have convinced many of my colleagues that humans may hold the key to our salvation. They wish to meet you, especially the elders. 48 hours later, after tense negotiations and layers of security protocols, Alex led a small delegation aboard a specialized shuttle. Nayara guided them to coordinates on the far side of the moon that appeared, by all normal measurements, to be nothing but an unremarkable crater. Prepare yourselves, she warned as the shuttle approached the dusty lunar surface. The transition can be disorienting. The shuttle passed through what seemed like a shimmering curtain of reality itself. Alex gasped as the barren lunar landscape dissolved around them, revealing a vast underground complex. Crystalline structures extended in impossible directions, populated by figures with the same pearlescent skin as Nayara. Welcome to Sanctuary, she said softly, the last hope of the Eterna. Inside, Alex witnessed the stark reality behind Nayara's words. The complex housed approximately 200 Eterna, each engaged in intensive study of human culture. Some areas resembled art galleries filled with human paintings and sculptures. Others contained libraries of literature, music archives, and historical records. Our youngest members, Nayara explained, gesturing toward a group whose eyes still held a spark of curiosity. Only 3 centuries old, they still retain emotional capacity. She led them deeper, where older Eterna moved with less animation, their expressions increasingly vacant despite their physical perfection. And our elders, she continued, her voice dropping. An Eterna sat motionless in a crystalline chamber, eyes open but seeing nothing. 5,000 years of consciousness. Technically alive, but existing in a state we call the void. No desire. No curiosity, no purpose. The sanctuary director, an Eterna called Thalon, approached with formal grace. Commander Chen, we have awaited this meeting eagerly. Your neural patterns suggest a solution to our existential crisis. My neural patterns? Alex asked. What makes me different from any other human? Not different, Thalon clarified. Exemplary. Your brain processes emotions with unusual intensity, even by human standards. You form deep attachments quickly. You experience wonder persistently, despite repeated exposure. Most importantly, you've maintained these qualities into adulthood when many humans begin to dull. That evening, during a cultural exchange demonstration, Alex noticed the Eterna observing human interactions with scientific detachment. On impulse, Alex approached the ship's communications officer. "May I?" Alex asked, gesturing to the officer's personal music device. Selecting an old Earth melody with a strong rhythm, Alex turned to address the gathered immortals. "Observation isn't enough," Alex announced. "Some things must be experienced." Extending a hand toward a younger Eterna, Alex smiled. "Dance with me." The confused immortal hesitated until Nayara gently pushed them forward. "Trust the human," she urged. "Remember what it felt like to try something new." News of the Eterna spread across Earth like wildfire. Within days of the official announcement, humanity fractured into predictable factions. Immortality seekers gathered outside the lunar shuttle terminals, carrying signs that read, "Share the gift," and "Death is a choice." Religious groups proclaimed the Eterna, either angels or demons, depending on their theology. Scientists demanded access to Eterna biology, while politicians debated the security implications of beings who could potentially outlive entire civilizations. Alex stood at the podium, facing a sea of reporters in the United Earth Assembly's Grand Hall. As the human who had first contact with Nayara, they had become the reluctant face of interspecies relations. "Commander Chen, is it true that some Eterna want to experiment on human subjects?" shouted a journalist from the front row. Alex maintained a diplomatic expression. "The Eterna seek to understand the neurological basis of human emotional processing. All research protocols have been voluntarily established with full ethical oversight." Another voice rose from the crowd. "But they want our emotions while offering nothing in return." Before Alex could respond, Nayara stepped forward, her pearlescent form commanding immediate attention. In the 3 weeks since the revelation of the lunar sanctuary, she had adapted her appearance slightly to seem less otherworldly, a concession to human comfort that few Eterna were willing to make. "Your perspective is understandable but incorrect," she stated, her melodic voice carrying effortlessly through the hall. "We offer knowledge accumulated across millennia, technological advancements beyond your current development path, and potentially a modified form of cellular regeneration that could extend human lifespans without the emotional degradation we experience." The press conference continued with increasing tension until security officers approached the podium, whispering urgently in Alex's ear. A protest had turned violent outside the auxiliary Eterna embassy. Simultaneously, reports indicated unusual activity at the lunar sanctuary. Later that evening, Alex found Nayara on the observation deck of the Orbital Diplomatic Center, staring at Earth below. "Not all of your people welcome us," she said without turning. "Just as not all of mine believe this exchange is wise." Alex moved beside her. "Change frightens both our species, apparently. The conservative faction among the Eterna believes emotional restoration would destroy our logical superiority," Nayara explained. "They see feeling as a weakness we evolved beyond, not a strength we lost." A flash of light from the lunar surface caught their attention, a shuttle departing without clearance. Alarm klaxons sounded throughout the station. Security personnel rushed past the observation deck as an announcement blared over the comm system. "Unauthorized Eterna vessel approaching. All diplomatic personnel to secure locations." "Something's wrong," Nayara whispered, her normally composed features showing genuine concern. The diplomatic reception scheduled that evening proceeded despite heightened security. Representatives from Earth's nations mingled uneasily with the Eterna delegation. Alex noticed Thalen speaking intensely with several human scientists when movement near the service entrance caught their attention, an Eterna Alex didn't recognize, moving with uncharacteristic urgency. The unknown Eterna raised a crystalline device. Alex recognized the danger instantly and lunged across the room, tackling Nayara aside as a pulse of energy discharged. The blast struck where she had stood moments before, disintegrating the floor and part of the wall. Chaos erupted. Security forces surrounded the attacker, who spoke a single sentence in the musical Eterna language before swallowing a small crystal that caused his form to collapse into dust. Alex felt a sharp pain and looked down to see a fragment of crystalline material embedded in their side, blood spreading across their uniform. The room began to spin as Nayara's concerned face swam above them. "Alex." Her voice sounded distant. "Stay conscious." Darkness crept in from the edges of Alex's vision as medical personnel rushed forward. The last thing they saw was Nayara's expression, not the detached scientific interest they had grown accustomed to, but raw, genuine fear. Monitors beat steadily in the medical bay as Alex drifted in and out of consciousness. The crystalline fragment had released a compound unknown to human medicine, baffling the doctors as it spread through Alex's system. "The damage is extensive," a physician explained to General Rivera in hushed tones they thought Alex couldn't hear. "The foreign material is integrating with neural tissue. We don't know how to stop it." Through blurred vision, Alex watched Nayara arguing with Thalen and other Eterna in the corridor outside. Their melodic language sounded harsh for the first time, like discordant music. When medical staff attempted to escort her away, she simply phased through their restraining hands, her form momentarily translucent. "I will not leave," she declared, entering the room with determined grace. "I can help." General Rivera stepped forward. "Your people did this. Why should we trust you now?" "Because I'm the only one who can save Commander Chen." Her violet eyes fixed on Alex's pale form. "The crystalline fragment contains a consciousness disruptor designed for Eterna who seek final termination. It wasn't meant for human biology." "What are you proposing?" the lead physician asked skeptically. Nayara approached Alex's bedside. "A neural bridge. My consciousness can temporarily stabilize the commander's neural pathways while your physicians remove the fragments." "Absolutely not," Rivera objected. "We have no idea what." "Do it," Alex interrupted weakly, speaking for the first time in days. Everyone turned in surprise. "I trust her." The procedure was unprecedented. Medical staff monitored vitals while engineers modified equipment according to Nayara's specifications. Thelen provided reluctant technical assistance, clearly uncomfortable with this level of integration between species. "This has never been attempted," he warned. A temporary neural bridge between Eterna consciousness and human could have unpredictable consequences. Nayara positioned herself beside Alex, her pearlescent hand resting lightly on their temple. "Your consciousness will touch mine," she explained softly. "Don't resist the connection. We will anchor each other." As the procedure began, Alex expected pain. Instead, their mind expanded, touching something vast and ancient. Nayara's consciousness unfolded like an endless ocean of memories, stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, knowledge accumulated across millennia. Yet within this immensity lay a growing emptiness, regions where emotional response had faded to nothing, leaving only cold observation. Simultaneously, Nayara experienced the concentrated intensity of human consciousness. Every sensation magnified, emotions flowing with breathtaking power, memories infused with color and meaning despite their relative brevity. She felt Alex's determined compassion, their capacity for wonder, their ability to find meaning in transience. Something unexpected happened as their minds intertwined. Pathways formed between them, bridging gaps neither species was meant to cross alone. Alex's neural patterns influenced Nayara's ancient consciousness, awakening dormant emotional capacities. Meanwhile, our millennia of knowledge reorganized Alex's neural architecture, creating entirely new cognitive structures. When Alex finally awakened fully, physicians crowded around with astonishment. The crystalline fragments had been successfully removed, but scans revealed unprecedented changes in brain activity. Nayara sat nearby, her eyes closed in deep concentration. What happened? Alex asked, surprised by how clear their thoughts felt. The lead physician shook her head in amazement. Your neural architecture has been fundamentally altered. New pathways have formed that shouldn't be possible. She gestured to the brain scans. And these activity patterns, they're unlike anything we've seen in human or Eterna physiology. Nayara opened her eyes and Alex gasped. Tears, actual moisture, streaked her pearlescent cheeks. I remember, she whispered, voice trembling with genuine emotion. I remember what it feels like to truly care whether another being lives or dies. She looked at her trembling hands in wonder. 2,000 years since I last wept. Alex felt it too, fragments of her ancient memories accessible like their own, knowledge they couldn't possibly have acquired in one human lifetime. But more significantly, their medical readings showed cellular regeneration patterns, mimicking Eterna physiology. What have we done? Alex whispered. Created something new, Nayara replied simply. 3 weeks after the neural bridge procedure, Alex stood before the United Earth Council, presenting findings that had shaken both human and Eterna scientific communities. The physical changes were undeniable. Cellular regeneration had accelerated, neural activity had transformed, and memory capacity had expanded beyond normal human limitations. The integration of Eterna consciousness patterns has fundamentally altered my physiology, Alex explained to the hushed chamber. Current projections suggest my lifespan may extend several centuries, though with none of the emotional degradation the Eterna experience. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Across the chamber, human immortality advocates exchanged triumphant glances. And what of the Eterna subject? Asked Councillor Okafor. Has she experienced similar changes? Before Alex could answer, the chamber doors opened. Nayara entered, but not as the composed, ethereal being they'd first encountered. Her movements now held a fluid expressiveness, her face animated with subtle emotions that no Eterna had displayed in millennia. I have been transformed as well, she addressed the council, her melodic voice carrying new emotional resonance. The neural bridge restored emotional capacities long dormant in my kind. I feel joy, sorrow, concern. She paused, glancing at Alex. Connection. The implications sparked immediate debate. If the procedure could be replicated, it offered humans extended lifespans without sacrificing emotional capacity, while potentially restoring the Eterna's lost emotional depth. A working group formed immediately to explore controlled trials. That evening, as Alex and Nayara reviewed research data in the Lunar Sanctuary's primary laboratory, emergency alarms shattered the quiet. Security feeds showed simultaneous attacks at multiple locations. Human extremists had breached the Earth Embassy, while conservative Eterna had seized the primary research center. Thereafter, the neural bridge data, Alex realized, rushing to secure the primary servers. Worse, Nayara replied, accessing the Sanctuary's security network with practiced ease. They've taken hostages, including Thalen. The Sanctuary's communications system activated, projecting the image of Velix, leader of the Eterna Conservatives. His ageless face showed nothing but cold calculation. "The Council has made its position clear," he announced. "Human emotional patterns will destroy what remains of Eterna logical superiority. We have developed an alternative solution." The camera panned to reveal human subjects in stasis chambers, neural probes embedded in their skulls. "Emotional processing can be harvested directly," Velix continued dispassionately. "The human donors need not survive the procedure." Horror washed through Alex. "You can't do this." "It has already begun," Velix replied. "Our research shows complete extraction is possible. 100 human subjects will provide enough neural mapping to restore emotional capacity to all remaining Eterna." Simultaneously, human extremists had seized the Earth Embassy, demanding access to immortality technology without restriction or oversight. Both crises escalated rapidly as military forces mobilized. Alex and Nayara worked frantically to coordinate a response, using their unique shared consciousness to develop a strategy. With the neural bridge connecting them, they could communicate complex concepts almost instantly, combining human intuition with Eterna strategic thinking. "There's only one way to prove them both wrong," Nayara said suddenly, looking up from complex calculations. "We must demonstrate that the neural bridge can only succeed through mutual consent and respect." "How?" Alex asked, feeling a growing sense of dread through their connection. Nayara's violet eyes held newfound determination and fear. The original procedure was temporary, incomplete. To truly create a viable template for both species, we need to attempt a complete integration. "That could destroy both our consciousnesses," Alex whispered, understanding immediately. "Yes," she acknowledged, "or it could save everyone." She reached for Alex's hand, her fingers trembling with emotions still new to her. "Are humans truly as brave as they seem in my newly restored emotions?" Alex nodded slowly, feeling the weight of both species' futures. "Let's find out." The lunar sanctuary's central chamber glowed with soft blue light as Alex and Nayara prepared for the complete neural integration. Medical teams from both species worked together, modifying equipment according to the unprecedented procedure they had designed during their partial connection. "The risks remain substantial," Dr. Chatri warned, adjusting neural interfaces with trembling hands. "We don't know if either consciousness will survive intact." Outside the sanctuary, the dual crisis continued to unfold. Military forces had surrounded the extremist held facilities, but any assault risked hostage lives. Meanwhile, Velix's team had accelerated their harvesting timeline, already beginning preliminary scans on their unwilling human subjects. "We're out of time," Alex said, lying back on the crystalline platform. "Begin the procedure." Nayara positioned herself on the adjacent platform, her violet eyes finding Alex's. "Human courage truly is remarkable," she whispered. "Your kind faces death every moment of your existence, yet still finds meaning. And your kind has witnessed the birth and death of stars," Alex replied. "Perhaps together we can learn to appreciate both perspectives." The integration process began, far more intensive than their previous connection. Their separate consciousnesses merged not temporarily but fundamentally, neural patterns intertwining at the deepest level. Alex experienced millennia of memories flooding through their mind, ancient civilizations, countless worlds, the slow evolution of Eterna culture toward emotional stagnation. Simultaneously, Nayara felt the concentrated intensity of human existence, the sharp clarity of limited time, the exquisite beauty of impermanence, the deep connections forged precisely because they couldn't last forever. In the critical moment, when both minds threatened to dissolve completely into one another, something unexpected happened. Rather than merging into a single consciousness, they separated again, but not as they had been before. The integration created something entirely new, two distinct beings connected by a persistent quantum link that transcended physical distance. When they awakened, both had been transformed. Alex's human form remained recognizable, but subtly altered, cellular structures showing the enhanced regeneration and longevity of Eterna physiology. Nayara's pearlescent appearance had gained warmth and expressiveness previously absent in her species. More significantly, their consciousnesses remained partially linked across space and time, each retaining their distinct identity while sharing access to the other's knowledge and perspective. "It worked," Alex whispered, sitting up slowly. "I can still feel you." Nayara nodded, eyes bright with emotions once lost to her kind. Two perspectives, two experiences, but permanently connected. They wasted no time. Through their unique bond, they coordinated the rescue operations simultaneously. Security forces freed the hostages, while Alex and Nayara provided irrefutable proof that forced consciousness extraction was fundamentally flawed. It produced only hollow shadows of true emotional capacity. 1 month later, they stood together before a joint assembly of human and Eterna representatives, presenting the integration protocol they had developed, a voluntary process requiring mutual respect and consent from both participants. "We offer not immortality alone, nor emotional capacity alone," Alex explained to the assembled delegates, "but a shared evolution. Humans gain extended perspective and lifespan, while Eterna regain the emotional depth they sacrificed millennia ago. Each pairing creates something unique," Nayara continued, "preserving individual identity while expanding consciousness beyond what either species could achieve alone." The first volunteer pairs, human scientists and Eterna scholars, began the integration process the following week. Each successful pairing demonstrated the same results. Two distinct beings gaining immeasurably from their connection while remaining fundamentally themselves. 5 years later, Alex and Nayara stood on the observation deck of an exploration vessel bound for distant stars. Earth glowed blue behind them, while unknown worlds beckoned ahead. "Do you regret it?" Nayara asked, her once empty eyes now alive with curiosity. "Sharing your brief, brilliant human life with me." Alex smiled, feeling the quantum connection between them pulse with shared emotion. "How could I regret gaining centuries to explore the universe? Besides, you were right all along." "About what?" she asked. "What makes humanity special isn't our technology, or even our emotional capacity," Alex replied, gazing at the stars spread before them. "It's our willingness to form connections despite differences, to build bridges across impossible divides." Nayara's hand found Alex's, their fingers intertwining like their shared consciousness. "Two perspectives," she whispered, "seeing more together than either could alone."